Are you planning a trip to Italy in the fall, but not sure if it's a good time to go? Well, stick around, because today we're going to tell you all of the pros and cons of visiting Italy in the fall.
Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea. And today we'll tell you all about visiting Italy in the fall. But first, if you'd like travel-related videos like this one, now is a great time to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss any future videos.
About Italy or anything else that we do,
Exactly.
Right? Alright, so visiting Italy is many people's trip of a lifetime. There's so much to see and do, and we feel the best way to experience it is by learning about it in advance, which is why this video is brought to you by ReadySetItaly.com. Ready Set Italy offers visitors the ability to find out where to stay, what to do, and how to get around on their own. So whether you're looking for a romantic getaway or a family vacation, Ready Set Italy has got you covered.
So let's start with the pros. Italy in the fall has better climate. It's no secret that in the summer Italy can be scorching hot. In fact, in July and August, temperature can easily reach 40 Celsius, 104 Fahrenheit. And in some cities like Rome or Florence can be really humid. In the fall, you will have much more comfortable temperatures. During the day, in October, it can reach 22-23 Celsius, 71-73 Fahrenheit. While at night, the temperature drops to 16 to 18 Celsius or 60-64 Fahrenheit. For this reason, it is much more comfortable to walk around and experience the city without dealing with the scorching heat.
Yeah, it's so true. Okay, so let's move on to our second pro about visiting Italy in the fall. It's less busy. In the fall, the amount of tourists that visit Italy is way less than in peak season during the summer. For this reason, visiting cities like Venice, Florence, Rome, Milan, or any other place in Italy is so much easier in the fall. You're not going to have to compete for the museum or attractions tickets with hundreds of thousands of other tourists. Also, finding a table at popular restaurants is much easier in the fall. And finally, walking around cities is much more enjoyable because they're just less crowded.
Our next pro about visiting Italy in the fall is better prices. Because fewer tourists are visiting Italy in the fall, hotels and airlines offer better prices than on peak season.
Right.
For this reason, the fall is a great option if you want to save some money when visiting Italy. Also, it's easier to find hotel rooms and flights in the fall than during peak season and are more flexible, because you don't have to compete with thousands of tourists.
So true. Okay, so let's move on to our next pro about visiting Italy in the fall, and these are the harvest festivals. In the fall, often in September and October, just about every city and town has some sort of festival, festivity, or event to celebrate the harvest season. In small towns, these events are called sagra, and they usually include copious amounts of food and drinks. So if you want to experience the true Italian lifestyle, going to one or more of these sagra will be a great opportunity. You know, like for example, this weekend, right? We went to a sagra in the mountains, just outside of our little town, and it was all about Parmesan cheese. How amazing! And there, we got to see many cheesemakers in town, and at one stand, we got to catch a glimpse of a guy who was opening a giant Parmesan wheel by hand. And it took a little while, and he was patiently working at it, but eventually the wheel opened up, and they offered a tasting to everyone. Think about it. This wheel had been closed for more than 2 years, and we got the first taste. I mean, it doesn't get fresher than that, right? And it wasn't only about Parmesan. There was a lot of others offering a variety of different foods and pastas, and best of all, it was completely free. Funny thing, as it turned out on that day, there was 2 other sagras around where we lived, all doing similar things.
Yes, and don't forget the chocolate festivals in Italy. If you love chocolate, Italy is the perfect place to be in the fall. Every year, these cities All over the country hosts chocolate festivals where you can try new and unique flavor, meet chocolatiers, and learn about the history of the sweet treats. Overall, though, spending a few days at a chocolate festival in Italy is an unforgettable experience that you for sure enjoy. Now, if you want to experience the amazing white Italian truffle, there's a festivals for it as well. And the best months to try the white truffle are between October and mid-December. Fall is also the season when they harvest the grapes for wine. So if you want to check out winemaker in the Chianti, for example, fall is the best time to visit. By the way, stay tuned because we will be doing a wine tour of Tuscany soon, and we'll post the video right up here.
And I will be doing lots of tastings with it.
Let's consider our last pro of visiting Italy in the fall. Beautiful fall colors.
Right.
Driving through the rolling hills of Tuscany or the shore of Lake Garda or Lake Como during the fall is quite amazing. The leaves on the trees change colors, making the scenery even more stunning. Also, at the beginning of fall, in late September, you will see the deep purple grapes on the vines ready to be harvested.
That's right.
Also, between the end of October and beginning of December, the olive trees are full of ripe olives ready to be picked. These sights can be only seen in the fall. And if you're finding yourself near olive tree, chances are you'll be close to what they call the frantoio, a place that makes olive oil.
Right.
Like winemakers, the fall is when the olive oil gets made, and you can often visit these places and get the front row seat up to the process.
That's right. It's
crushing the grapes.
All right, so let's now consider some of the cons of visiting Italy in the fall. Now, there's not that many, but let me tell you number one. There are no beaches, or few. If you plan on visiting the beach or swimming in the Mediterranean, fall is probably not the most ideal time to visit Italy. At the end of September or at the very beginning of October, the weather might be warm enough for you to go to the beach, especially if you're in the south of Italy, but it's not guaranteed. For example, let's take the Amalfi Coast, one of Italy's most popular tourist destinations, and for good reason. It's got a dramatic coastline, picturesque towns, and delicious food, like all over Italy, are just few of the reasons why. Now, October is a great time to visit the Amalfi Coast, as the weather is still warm and sunny, and it's much less crowdy again compared with, the peak summer months. On the Amalfi Coast, the beaches here are some of the best in Italy, so spending a day lounging in the sand is a must. And the ocean can still be warm enough, but it's a gamble because, in general, the beach season in Italy ends around mid-September. But the further you go in southern Italy, the better your chances of having a warmer climate in the fall.
Let's talk about the next con about visiting Italy in the fall. Is the fact that the days are shorter. In the fall, the days are getting shorter and shorter, and this can be a con if you're planning to visit Italy. In fact, around mid-October, it gets dark around 7 p.m. So if you're planning on taking a road trip, you have to keep in mind that the sun sets early. This is less of a problem if you are visiting cities. In fact, some Italian cities are even more fascinating at night.
Right.
For example, Venice at night is so much more beautiful. Also, the sunset in Manarola and in the Cinque Terre is quite magical, so that might be a good time to go if you're visiting in the fall.
Okay, moving on. Our next con of visiting Italy in the fall, we're going to talk about the weather. So the weather in the fall tends to be, well, let's say a little bit more unpredictable than during the summer. It's not unusual to get rain, especially towards the end of October or the beginning of November. Also, in some areas, fog can be quite common in late fall. So if you consider visiting the Alps in the fall, you might see some very rainy weather with cold temperatures. So it may not be the most ideal time to visit. In the south of Italy, the weather is a lot more stable in the fall, and when the sun is out, the temperatures can be quite mild and even on the warmer side.
Let's consider the last con of visiting Italy during the fall. Less opportunity for cruising. If you're planning to take a cruise in the Mediterranean, you will have fewer cruise lines in this area. In fact, just a few European cruise lines, such as Costa or MSC, cruise around the Mediterranean year-round. All the other cruise lines move most of their ships in the Caribbean around mid or the end of October, leaving you with less choice to pick.
Right.
So if you want to take a cruise while you are visiting Italy in the fall, the best time to do so is before the end of October. On the other hand, fall cruises in the Med are usually quite cheap, and if you want a deal on a cruise in the Med, that's the time to go.
Right, so in our opinion, the pros of visiting Italy in the fall far exceed the cons, and we strongly encourage you to consider the fall for your next trip to Italy. As usual, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment below, because we'll be more than happy to answer you. Also, don't forget to check out ReadySetItaly.com for more information on where to stay, what to see, and how to get around when you plan your next itinerary to Italy.
In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.
Ciao!
Ciao!